We need to fit some taillights to our 3D printed 992 GT3 RS. But there's just one problem. Porsche wanted over $5,000 for this set. I searched the internet high and low for a solution, and honestly, it wasn't looking good. That is until I came across this set on Alibaba. I took a huge gamble, hit that purchase button, and you won't believe what showed up. So this is the package that arrived in the mail. Now I've already opened it because I had to double check that everything was there, but I couldn't believe it once again when I realized that we had purchased, just like the headlights, genuine 992 GT3 taillights. Not only are they genuine, but they look to be brand new. I had to ship these taillights via the sea, so they took quite a long time to arrive, so I was really excited to finally get my hands on them. I honestly thought they'd be copies of the original taillights. They cost me 2,100 Australian dollars landed, which is, I think, pretty cheap. Now, the reason we know they're genuine is because they have made in France on them right here. They also say it here, and they have the genuine stickers with all the part numbers and everything. By the looks of things, these have been in a car before, but like, geez, they almost look completely brand new, which is crazy. This center light definitely looks a little more like it's been, like, you know, in a car before, but everything looks in fantastic condition. Look, there's even like a wee crack there, I guess, so fantastic condition, including cracks. But the most important part is the lens. Look at this light bar. That is so crazy. So I'm really excited to fit these up to the car and see if they actually fit, for starters. One other really exciting thing is not only do we have our tail lights here, but in this box are our rear quarter windows and rear window. These came all the way from the UK, from Plastics for Performance, and I've already looked at them. They look absolutely amazing. So in this video, we should be able to fit up our tail lights, but also dummy fit the rear windows. So by the end of this video, this car should be looking relatively complete. But before we go ahead and start mounting our tail lights, in the last video, we went to Legacy Fab and we fabricated the most insane turbo setup on this car. If you haven't seen that video, honestly, I highly recommend you go back and check it out. It's one of my favorite videos of the series so far. But in the video, we started the car for the first time, but I had the wastegate on our turbo, which you can see under here. Look at that thing. I had our Turbo Smart wastegate basically disabled so the car couldn't make boosts, and that meant we didn't get to hear the turbo flutter on this thing, and that just doesn't sit well with me at all. Not only that, but we have a bit of an exhaust leak on the headers. So the first thing we're going to do is replace the header gaskets, and we're going to start this thing, tighten up the wastegate, and hopefully we can hear some turbo flutter. I feel like that'll set the tone nicely for this video before we go ahead and start mounting things. So yeah, let's get the car in the air and let's throw some new gaskets in this thing. The goal for this car is, of course, to have it make all of the turbo noises while we're driving it. Undo some bolts. Luckily, the headers are really easy to remove. Shout out to these SP Tools rattle guns. That is so handy. Just 6 bolts and the gaskets are ready to remove. So these are the gaskets that we put in, but as you can see, they're super thin and they've got like the channel in them. Oh, I think they were put in wrong. Yep, it turns out we installed the gaskets wrong. So we installed them the right way around this time and got the car back on the ground. All right, let's see if this works. It is so nice to hear this thing without any exhaust leaks. And did you hear that flutter? That is awesome, and that's like the smallest amount of flutter that this thing is going to make, because it's probably only building like 1 or 2 PSI of boost. But moving on, it is time to do the tail lights. So the first thing we're going to do is check if these things even fit in the space that we have, because of course this is all 3D printed. I have confidence because the headlights fit so well. So I have my man Woz here, who's currently just chilling with a beer because it is beer o'clock, but let's whip the ducktail wing off. But the best thing about these tail lights, if they do fit, is it means we get to go ahead and make mounts for all of our rear quarters, because currently they're just flopping around everywhere because we haven't been able to lock them out until we had these tail lights in place. So
it's quite a big project, I think, because obviously we have to get the rear window to fit.
Yep.
And then that's going to move the guards, and then the tail lights are going to move the bumper and the rear, and then
everything. Like, that's the thing. You move one thing and it offsets another thing. First up, we need to remove the ducktail spoiler. Oof. That intercooler, man. I love that intercooler placement, but we actually didn't exactly measure when we fit the intercooler if it was gonna hit when we fit the taillights, so this will be super interesting. All right, first taillight test fit. So pretty much this guy should just slip in under here. Now, because obviously we've just got the rear quarter sitting there for now, it'll kind of have to wedge in there, and then this guy should fit. Wow, that kind of fits super nice. I know for a fact that we have a high spot in this bumper right under here. So that's why you can see this gap here. So we need to kind of clearance that high spot out. That's fine. But in terms of fitment, geez, they definitely fit super nice. Man, as soon as you put a taillight in, it immediately changes the way it looks, eh? So we're gonna chuck the other side in now.
I'm so surprised at how well these taillights fit.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
Very good.
Yeah, man, it's so good.
It's actually been impressive that every Porsche piece, real piece,
Fits.
is fitting in with the scan and the print.
Yep.
So obviously it is actually
Oh my God.
accurate, you know, like it really is.
It is accurate. It's so, dude. I love it. I'm so hyped. Far out. All right, so now we put the center light bar in. So I think that light bar slots in like in this piece right here from the research that I've done. If you're thinking about building one of these cars, you can buy the files on twostepgarage.com, and I highly recommend it. Honestly, the funnest build I've done in my automotive journey so far. It's so good. I can't believe we have genuine GT3 RS lights as well. So this guy slips under. So again, you want to go flat, be careful, and you kind of have to lift the quarter up a little bit because obviously they're sagging, like that. Oh, and you got to watch the light because it'll want to shift.
It goes in here, this dowel plug thing.
That goes in, this goes in here.
We completely forgot about the taillights when we were installing the intercooler in the rear of the car, but it turns out we got very lucky.
Whoa, it clears. Okay, first of all, we absolutely nailed the fitment of the intercooler. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Bailey and I were just kind of guessing when it came to where we were gonna fit it to leave room for the taillights, but look at this. Look at the gap. We absolutely nailed it so good. But how good do these things look? But, of course, with the ducktail spoiler on, just for the final wee piece for the preview of how these taillights are gonna look. Oof. Dude, that looks crazy, man. Like, absolutely crazy. Ah, I've been waiting so long for this, honestly, just to complete the rear end. So obviously we have a gap here. Now this gap is for the badge, the Porsche badge. So I wasn't sure whether that would come with the taillights. Obviously it doesn't, and that's fine. Major Porsche vibes right here. That looks perfect. But what has been one of the biggest challenges throughout this whole build is deciding where to start when mounting things like the taillights, because every little thing that you move on the car, something else has to shift with it. Now I'm fairly confident in the placement of our bumper because that is mounted through the middle here. It's not mounted at the sides here, and these gaps aren't exactly perfect right here. And I don't just want to go ahead and make mounts for the taillights without having these two pieces locked out. But then one of the big things we need to make sure we get right is the gap between the guards where the window sits in. So we need to measure our rear window. So that means we get to check out our Plastics for Performance polycarbonate windows that we have purchased for this car. And look at these things. So these things are heat treated and shaped to the exact shape that the original windows are for the car, but they're 50% lighter. This is not sponsored at all. We paid full price for these. They were $2,000 landed for the 2/4 windows and the back window. So I think that's actually quite a bit cheaper than you'd pay for like even just the rear window in a genuine GT3 RS. And also apparently those windows are prone to breaking. So I'm happy to have the polycarbonate, but like check this out. They look factory. So they have even like the black on it. And if we pull this plastic back, you can see they even have the fade. Like it looks stock. It's absolutely crazy. I haven't test fitted these yet, so I'm very excited to give them a try. But right now, we need to measure our rear window. Look at this thing, man. What an awesome piece of kit. So these guys do like a bunch of different cars. They do Nissan Silvias, they do Lamborghinis, of course they do Porsches. And these windows have solved a massive problem for us because buying the genuine stuff was, yeah, that was out of the question.
I quickly realized to dummy fit the rear window, we needed to 3D print the channels for the rear window to sit in, just like we did on the B-pillars. Luckily, our friend at Pult Designs once again sent us the files that we needed, so we fired up the 3D 3D printers and got printing.
Luckily, they only took an hour to print. Again, shout out to Pulp Designs because I would be absolutely lost without you, bro. But let's go ahead and fit these in.
By now, I'm pretty handy using a soldering iron as a plastic welder, so these pieces only took about half an hour to install. But man, do they make a massive difference to the rear end. It just makes the pieces look more complete.
You know what? It felt good to be plastic welding some pieces into the Porsche once again. And those pieces worked out really nicely, so now we can go ahead and place our window on the pieces and see how it looks, and fingers crossed that the window actually fits.
I laid down some bubble wrap before fitting the window, as the last thing I want to do is scratch these expensive pieces of plastic. But once again, I was really surprised when I sat the window in place. It fit pretty much perfectly.
Damn! We must be doing something right, because I can't believe, once again, this window has just slipped in place like almost perfectly. There's a couple of wee spots up the sides here where you'd want to fix the gaps before obviously doing all the final stuff, but like it fits unbelievably well. So I'm actually blown away by that. And shout out to Plastics for Performance, because yeah, the fitment is absolutely awesome. So the next job we have to do now that we know that the window fits is mount our rear bumper properly and work up from there. So Warwick has already removed the taillights. Well done. So last time when we mounted the bumper, we mounted it in two places, classic YouTuber things. So we only chucked a couple of mounts on it. So there's one up here and one right here. So we need to finish off those mounts and make sure that this thing is sitting exactly where we want it. Making the brackets is always the most time-consuming thing to do and just the least fun thing for you guys to watch on film, but I'll try and make it look as interesting as possible.
So once again, we get the car in the air so we can take some measurements and drill some holes in our meticulously built 3D printed bumper. It's really important we get the height of this bumper perfect on each side, as where the taillights mount and the height of the rear quarters all depend on the height of the bumper itself. Then we remove the rear bumper so we can final weld the mounts, and I turn into a lumberjack cutting some wood so we can use it to jack up the left hand side of our rear quarter, as that side was sagging a little lower than the right hand side. It's all about using the tools that you have on hand. Now we need to install the brackets that are going to hold our rear quarters in place. We lay down some of the trusty panel bond, then weld the bracket in place. We'll lay down some fiberglass over that bracket underneath once the panel bond is dry. Now it's time to reinstall the tail light so we can get the bumper to panel gap absolutely perfect before installing this mount that we made with a captive nut. Once again, we lay down some panel bond before securing the mount to the bumper with a self-tapping screw. Then we weld this mount to the body, and that side of the car is officially complete.
And finally, I've been excited for this very moment because our rear quarters are finally locked out. We haven't been able to do this until we got those tail lights, so I had to wait all of this time, but now this is solid, which is awesome. And look at how well we managed to get all of this lining up. Like the body lines are just so important, and the panel gaps, look at this, so good. So this clip right now you're seeing, we actually waited overnight so that we could go ahead and take these screws out of the bumper and the body panels, because the panel bond has now dried. Look at that, nice and solid. I love the panel bond. Number two. And I just want to show you guys from back here how symmetrical this is. Like, look how good we got both sides exactly the same. So the laser liner definitely paid off with this one, and all of the measuring, so many hours, but it's starting to look really good. And now that means we can finally make our taillight brackets. Warwick just lost his job, so he's now officially
Full-time Mike Lake.
full-time Porsche guy.
Porsche guy.
So, what are your thoughts
Please
behind?
like and subscribe.
Yeah, please.
I need to eat.
Hit the subscribe button so that we can make the money to pay Woz.
Two little studs here, M6 studs.
Yep.
Factory on the back of your beautiful Porsche Boxer here.
Yeah, so we're making an effort to use as many of the factory points that we can to kind of bolt the brackets onto. Why not, you know?
Well, yeah. We're also using a nice thick material. You'll note the wall thickness is 4mm.
Yep.
So that our taillights aren't flapping in the wind. 5 grand worth of
Taillights.
Porsche taillights.
Genuine taillights just falling out on the road.
Nice and solid. And yeah, bolt on. And then we'll have another little guy come across here.
Yep.
Yeah, he's simply, the taillight tabby is like literally here somewhere.
Yep.
Drill a hole, captive nut.
Yep.
Weld that one on.
We love our captive nuts on this build. That's so handy.
There's another little vertical post here somewhere which catches the
big dog.
The brake light.
Yeah.
So,
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. All right, let's get these tail lights mounted. I'm too keen for this. So while we're filming this right now, we just hit 200,000 subscribers on the channel. Something I never dreamt that would ever happen, but hey, here we are. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Shout out to all the old subscribers. If you're watching, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Every single sub helps us do these crazy ideas, and trust me, if you think this car is cool, wait till you see what the next project is. It is on a whole other level. We are here for the long haul, crazy builds, good fun, and yeah, good content. Let's go. So now is the challenging part, and that's actually welding our tabs on for the tail lights. So as you can see here, we have a tab that is threaded for our bolt. Then we want to slide the tail light in place. So as you can see with this one, it's really basic. Literally just sits here. We tack this one in here, take this to there, and that is that part of the tail light bolted in.
Of course, we covered the tail lights with our welding blankets before we started welding. Then as soon as we welded on the brackets, we quickly removed the tail lights so we didn't melt any of the plastic. After that, we final welded all of the brackets in place.
Speed run to get the tail light out so that the plastic doesn't melt after welding.
A couple more welds and our tail light brackets were officially in place.
And now technically this should fit nice and snug in here. Ooh, do you hear that? That is a crispy fit. So that's already tight because there's a lip under here that this is sitting on perfectly. It's crazy how well they fit. And then obviously they're sitting on their mounts here. So even without the bolts in, like that is sturdy, and you actually have to like lift it and pull it out, which is so sick. Throw some bolts in. Boom. First tail light officially mounted. That's so good.
Now it's time to mount one of my favorite parts of the tail light assembly, and that is the big light bar. Of course, once again, we're using brackets with captive nuts, and these basically weld onto the existing posts that we've already welded in.
So the brackets are tacked in and we are ready to mount the tail lights and the glass and everything for the first time and see how this whole thing looks. But before we do that, I thought we could 3D print the rear diffuser. That way we can see what the whole rear end looks like with the diffuser for the first time, which will be really exciting. Also, we get to peel this plastic off, which is always super satisfying.
The rear diffuser on these GT3 RSs is such a cool piece. But for us, we're only going to print half of it.
A 34-hour print, almost finished.
As I'm not sure we'll need the whole thing because we're putting it on a Boxster and we have a turbo setup in the way.
I have to admit, it feels damn good to be in front of this table once again and ready to put our 3D printed pieces back together because I've missed this. It's been a couple of episodes since we've actually built something 3D printed. It's also crazy to think that this one manky soldering iron right here has assembled this whole car. But that being said, let's go ahead and put our diffuser together.
A lot of people have been commenting why we don't use the metal staples to join these pieces together, and the simple answer is we're going to be bodyworking these pieces, so we don't want metal sticking out of the plastic. That being said, our strategy with the soldering iron actually works really well.
Look at that. How sick is that? Honestly, if you guys are looking to get into a project like this, I can't recommend it enough. It is so satisfying. Of course, it's an insane amount of hard work, but like when you're doing stuff like this, it absolutely pays off.
Once we've got all of the pieces tacked together using the soldering iron, I run this Loctite 406 glue through all of the seams, and then after about 10 minutes, the piece is good to pick up and move around. Even after all of this time, with all of the other pieces that we've made, it never ceases to amaze me how awesome it is that you can just 3D print something like this at home and put it together yourself.
And with the diffuser done, we are finally ready to put the rear end together for the first time. We have all of our pieces ready down here, but the first thing we're going to do is the satisfying part of pulling the plastic off the tail lights. Man, these things look so freaking good. I'm always so impatient with this stuff because my ADD just wants me to freaking pull it off immediately, but they look so clean. Next up is the light bar. Oh, that is so freaking satisfying. Woo! Oh, that's so good, guys. That looks awesome. These brackets are just tacked because we actually repositioned them. We're gonna pull them all off, final weld them and paint them, as well as of course pulling the whole thing apart and painting everything in here just a nice black once we've done all the brackets and everything looks exactly how we want it. But that's pretty freaking sick.
The last thing we need to do is get the car on the ground and use some good old-fashioned masking tape to dummy fit our rear diffuser because we simply ran out of time to make mounts in this video. Then we slip in our Plastics for Performance rear window and the dummy fit rear end is officially complete.
Man, that fits so well. That's crazy. Now you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit with the rear diffuser because we've had to use the good old tape to kind of hold it on. But I think we're in a pretty good spot with that. There's a couple of modifications that need to be made because obviously we've got our insane exhaust under there and it's very close currently to the diffuser. Now stock, these do have quite a big gap between the diffuser and the bumper, so we're not too far off there. But look at the rear tail lights. I'm really happy with the amount of time that we took to fit these and make sure that everything fit perfectly. It was quite difficult, but man, the hard work just paid off and it looks absolutely fantastic. The ducktail spoiler is just dummy fit for now. We do need to make some brackets for that, and there is the centerpiece that we need to throw in. That is this piece right here, but I'm going to reprint this piece because I'm not very happy with the way that it printed. But essentially that fits in here and covers everything up. You cut the section out here and you put mesh in between, and that's where all the air flows. And that is where our high stoplight fits there as well. But we ran out of time in this video to get that done, but we got a whole lot done. And look how freaking well this window fits. So this window is literally sitting in the exact spot where it needs to go, and that just stays there. No tape, no nothing. Look at the fitment. Like, it's absolutely bang on. I couldn't be happier. So yeah, we took a lot of time getting those rear quarters perfectly in place. The car looks unbelievably symmetrical, so I think yeah, I think we've definitely nailed it. And then the wheel fitment, now that we've fixed up the rear quarters and the bumper, there's actually a nice gap now between the tyre and the guard. Of course, we're going down a tyre size, so that's going to fix that problem. I also went ahead, of course, and threw the headlights back into the front of the car just so we could get a vibe for how this thing is going to look when it's done. And yeah, it's looking very, very close to the real thing. Now, obviously, the one big thing that's missing is the rear wing. The wing stands are currently being machined out of billet aluminium, so we should have those, I think, next week, which means we can go ahead and officially fit the wing for the final time. And that's really going to add that super aggressive look to the rear end. But even as it sits right now, gosh, it looks so freaking good. But that is us done for this video. There may be a delay to the next one because I am getting married at the end of this month, so we've got a lot going on. It's a very stressful process going through planning a wedding and stuff like that. Nonetheless, I'll try and get as many videos out as I can. There probably is going to be a video dropping on the V2 channel because those videos are much easier for me to make and take a lot less time. But thank you so much for 200,000 subscribers. I couldn't do this without your guys' support, so I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.